Ann,
Here.
Councilwoman George,
Here.
Councilman Hayes, Councilwoman Love,
Here.
Vice Mayor Fennell is absent, and Councilman Overton is absent, but we do have a quorum.
We'll have approval of minutes for July 13, 2021.
I so move.
Mr. Alexander and Mr. Hayes second. Public recognition, anybody from the public would like to speak, it's time to do it.
Steve.
2 sets. Have to vote on both of them? All right, we'll wait on the second one.
So move.
Second.
Mr. Alexander, Mr. Hayes second. Now we're ready for, are we gonna vote? Got a motion second, Mr. Hayes. All right, we got to vote. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We have to do both of them again.
We're on both sets. All in favor, they've up.
All in favor of both sets? All opposed? Everybody opposed? This is public recognition. Anybody from the public would like to speak, step forward, please.
Councilman Fan, Gus Body. I rise tonight because we had a little problem here in the city. We need to adjust and get another idea for, and that is,
Mr. DeBoard, your name and address, please, for the record.
my name is Joe DeBoard, and I live at 1007 Hart Street. Thank you,
Thank you.
City Attorney. Seems as though we had a closure of the recycling center because of the fact that we had a truck down because we couldn't move the recycling materials. In my way of looking at that is no excuse for that situation, period. The reason I rise today is because we had another vehicle that we let go before we should have in order to have a spare to take care of that. Recycling program is a federally mandated program, period. And we need to be able to take care of business. One problem we have with this city for the last years, number one, is no sense of urgency about getting the job done. Went out on the farm one day and my brother was fussing because of the fact that he might have to roll up some alfalfa hay that he'd rather put in a square bale. Seems as though the piece of equipment on the back of the baler did not function. Okay? So I informed my brother to get on the seat of the tractor and get to the field and bale the hay. And I'd take care of the rest of it. After 800 bales of hay put on the wagons by yours truly. You're looking at the loader today, okay? We got the hay in the barn like he wanted so the cows could get just a little bit instead of having to make a mess with a whole big round bale. My point is this. We're going to have to make government work like we work in the private sector. This is not anything to do with anybody. I want it crystal clear. It is not about any one person. It is a mindset. And the city of Gallatin has got to get on the mindset and we got to get the job done. Period. And once you get that mindset going, it works a whole lot better because guess what? We get things done, people are happy, and then, by gosh, it didn't look like our government does not work for us. Second issue that I want to bring up tonight, same type problem. We today, I went over to the Resource Authority, and guess what? They were dragging trash in from all over Middle Tennessee over there to dump in our Resource Authority. The little girl was out asking everybody where they brought the trash from. Williamson, Davidson, all over Middle Tennessee that we're getting dumped on. That's why we have a long line over there, because we're getting nailed. My suggestion to you folks is this. The Resource Authority is no more, period. The reason why you don't want it anymore is because Gallatin does not want to be responsible for any of that mess, period. Talk about having a Resource Authority where we're part of it, it should be on the Sumner County, period. Let them go out there and put our money, which we are all members of Sumner County, and let them handle it. We're going to have enough problems getting Smith Street over here fixed, so we can have all those good people from out of Sumner County come to the courthouse, for example. The other issue on top of that is this. How come we don't have a courthouse parking lot going up before the courthouse? I know the mayor loves that one, because that affects everybody. So we've got to get government to work for us, and we have to do it in a timely fashion, and that's the end of the bill. I thank you, even you, Brother Hayes.
My name is Brenda Dodson. I live at 613 DeMoss, and I'm here to talk about the mobile food vendors and the price of 100, and I've heard 100 and 130. Is it possible for us to have a breakdown of what that covers? And that's all I have to say.
Would anybody else like to speak? We'll close the public recognition, and now we're open for mayor's comments.
Thank you, Chairman Fan. I do have just a few things this evening. First, just some events coming up. This Thursday night, I want everyone to know that they are having the Late Till 8 on the square. Various retailers will be open until 8 p.m. if you want to shop on the square and can't during regular hours. This Saturday is Community Field Day at Thompson Park. That's from 1 p.m. until 5 p.m. On next Tuesday, there's a groundbreaking for the Sumner County Courthouse at 9:30 a.m. and then at 11 a.m. they'll be doing a groundbreaking for Liberty Creek campus, the new school campus up on Upper Station Camp Creek. Thursday, the 19th, is going to be Third Thursday on the Square. The guests next week are Darryl Worley with Adam and Amy Pope. And finally, I'll mention that the Moonlight Market is happening again at the Gallatin Farmers Market on Friday, August 20th. I do want to say congratulations to the police department on a very successful Santa Classic, along with a big thanks for everyone that participated and played in that. And also all of our respect and appreciation to the police department, all the agencies who supported in working the situation this past Saturday morning. I know our thoughts and prayers are with the victims' families and those who have been impacted by that tragedy. And that concludes Mayor's comments. I will mention Mr. Fenton's birthday on the 23rd. So we have another council meeting between now and then. I can embarrass him in a larger forum. So, but hey, now you have more time to buy him gifts, right? That's all. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to the agenda. Item number 1 is continued discussion of ordinance 02107-45. Ms. McCauley.
Yes, this is a continued discussion of the mobile food vendors ordinance. there's not a need for a vote because we've already had first reading, and we will have second reading next week, but council asked this be put back on. I think the two issues that you were looking at the time, potentially the fee and the hours of operation, and whether or not you want to grant any exceptions to what you've already agreed to. So I'll open the floor for discussion.
Can you explain to the young lady that came up here what the fee, I mean, it's just a one-time fee, so per
It's a
year.
one-time fee. I did not come up with that fee.
Mr. Stewart, do you recall your calculations on that? Sorry. Mr. Stewart's the one that figured that $130 would compensate all the departments engaged in trying to approve the food trucks.
What Mr. McCord and I did, council, was we took a look at how much the pay scales were for the plan reviewers, for the planning department, for the coast department, for a fire inspector, and the time that it was going to take to review it, to do the life safety inspection, and the time for the permitting department there to get their paperwork together to get this thing out. This did not include the business license fee that the recorder's office charges, which I think is a $15 fee for a business license, and it was good for a year. It was a one-time fee.
Mr. Stewart, what's the annual life safety inspection for businesses at this point?
$75.
75? Okay.
And this was for two departments, not one.
And how much do you think would cover your expenses for the food trucks?
Well, $130 won't cover it. I can say that. I could pull all those numbers to tell you, because when you got a planner that has to review it, look at the zoning and look at all the data he has to look at, and then my reviewer going through it, and then the inspector going out to do it. $130 wouldn't cover it, but we thought we could get by with that.
So right now, we're at 100, but 100 is too low for you think, for the expenses, but you think we could get by at 130?
Yes, ma'am, you're going to include about 5 people in that process before it goes out the door.
But the food vendor would pay an additional fee of how much more?
It's $15 for a business license in the city
Okay.
of Gallatin.
So this yearly fee that we're talking about now, plus 15, and that's,
Well, we really don't need to discuss the 15. It's not part of our ordinance. He was just letting you know that they have a business license fee, but that's not part of the ordinance. I think you probably just need to focus on what fee you want for this one-time, annual permit.
trying to see how much total they are going to be having to pay.
Does the 130 include the $15 business fee?
No.
No.
It'll be 145 first year.
Well,
No.
everyone in the city has a business license. So that's not any different for a mobile food vendor or any other business. So everyone has to get a business license. Then what we're saying here is to get a permit, an annual permit for a mobile food vendor, trying to determine what you want that fee to be.
The annual permit itself.
Yes.
How long have we had a $15 business fee? For years?
And I will say on the $15 business license, if their business is not located inside the city limits of Gallatin, they will not have to have a city business license. So if they come from Nashville, that's where their business license will be. That's where they will report their income.
Do we want to move this on to council?
Well, you don't have to move it on. It's already going to be on there because we've had first reading. But I think you just wanted to have a discussion about the fee and the hours and anything that you would like to change, then you would move to amend next week at the council meeting.
I thought you came up with what was the idea about the hours that you'd come up with?
Well, currently, we have it from 5 a.m., I'd have to go back to the 5 till 11. And I know there was an issue with people going to factories in the hospital, And so what we had discussed, there's something already in the proposed ordinance that says that the city can give permission for a food truck rally to go beyond the hours. And I had discussed with council and Mr. McCord the possibility that we could amend that, if that's what council wanted to do, to say that the city permit administrator could grant an exception. And that could be as simple as an email from the mobile food vendor to the permit, whomever the permit administrator designates, to ask for permission to be there at extended hours.
Yeah. Can we include that in there? Is everybody in agreement with that?
The 5 to 11? Yes.
No.
No, he's talking about extending beyond, an exception
yeah.
beyond
Yeah.
that.
If they want to extend it, like
Yeah.
go to a factory at 2 o'clock in the morning when they
Sure.
give a shift change.
Right.
Yeah.
Not to extend it, but to give the permit
An
administrator
exception.
the
Right,
authority.
right. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Tom McCauley, do you recall, did we actually amend it on first reading, or did we say we were going to amend it on second reading as far as the hours and that exception?
Well, what happened was we discussed it at the first work session, and everyone agreed there from
That's
5
right.
to 11. And so it went through first reading with those hours, so there wasn't a need to
So
amend.
you'll have to amend it upon second reading for that
Yep.
exception.
Then what about the fees?
We want to move it on to first reading?
What about the fees?
If I may, James Fenton with Economic Development Agency. I think Chuck is right. Mr. Stewart is correct that it will most likely cost more than the fees that we're being asked to. And I think just putting a different point of view in there is that our hope is to attract those because of the kind of amenities they offer to the community and what's being asked for. It's one of the thoughts process is that on the back end, the sales tax will help create some of that. I think going from $100 to $130 is acceptable. Just knowing that our whole goal is to attract them to the area so that they can be a part of what we're doing here, part of what the public is demanding and that kind of stuff at this point in time. So we're supportive of it. We're just asking you keep it within limits so that we will indeed attract them to the community.
And there's not a need to vote tonight. It will already be on the agenda next week. But any amendments that you want to make, you have to make those at the council meeting.
Gotcha.
I'm just trying to get a consensus. I mean, does everybody think 130 is fair? Or-
To me, it is. I mean, that's a one-time fee for the whole year.
Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you, James.
Any more discussion on it? We want to move it on to first reading?
There's not a reason to vote. We've already had first reading. We're going to have second reading automatically.
All right. Number 2 on the agenda is ordinance 0210. 8-48, Mr. McCord.
Jeff's going to change it over so we have it on the screen. Bill McCord, City Planner. Okay, council, this first item that I have tonight is a request for rezoning of a 2.74 acre parcel of land on the north side of East Broadway. Excuse me, this is a little bit east of Airport Road intersection as you head up to the hill there. Excuse me, I'm sorry. There is a cemetery that is within the property. It's a private cemetery, and I don't think it's very active right now, hasn't been active in a long time. But the property essentially wraps around that cemetery. It now contains an existing home. And the property is now zoned R40, which is essentially an acre lot requirement, and they're requesting rezoning to R15. And this would allow for them to further subdivide the property in the future. They're not intending to create a subdivision. They may do a lot split, but they just want to be able to sell the property, keep the front portion for where the house is now, and provide future access to the back. And they're requesting this rezoning change. The Planning Commission did review this request and recommended approval.
Mr. McCoy, how will that rezoning affect the cemetery?
Pardon?
How will that affect the cemetery?
Cemetery will remain. It's unclear as to the ownership of the cemetery, but it would be excluded from the rezoning itself because it's a separate parcel on the tax map.
They'll be able to use the cemetery like,
Essentially wrap around that area. So unfortunately, the pointer won't show up on the screen. It shows up on the wall, but it won't show up on the screen. But you can see the rectangle that's in the middle of that property. That's the small cemetery there.
And there's an existing home on the property now,
Yes, ma'am.
and that will remain?
As I understand it, will remain and possibly end up being platted as a separate lot from the northerly portion of the parcel.
Motion to send it on.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Hayes and a second by Ms. Eileen. George. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It passes. Agenda number 3, ordinance number 02107-44, Mr. McCord.
Okay, this next item is one that you've seen before, is a request for rezoning for Walnut Crest Townhomes Development. And this is located on the west of Walnut Crest Drive, which is a street that extends between Red River Road and Long Hollow Pike, just on the east side of Highway 109 interchange there at Long Hollow Pike and 109. I don't want to get into too much detail because you've already heard a description of the property, but they intend to develop a townhome project on the upland portion of a vacant lot that is just to the west of Walnut Crest Townhome. The large triangle that's shown there in yellow is an historic home in a historic estate that would not be impacted, and they would be required to provide a buffer zone for that. And the area in blue is essentially the area that would be left undeveloped and mostly is within a floodplain. They would be concentrating the density of their development on the eastern portion of the property. The Planning Commission did review this request and recommended approval. And right now, being CG zoned, it has no access really to any collector or arterial roadway. It was a remnant that was left over from years ago in this property before really the bypass was built. So the zoning's been on that property for a long time. So this is really about the best use you could expect. You don't want to encourage the development of a commercial use where you have to travel through the residential area to get access to it. So the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this. And y'all may remember last month, the council committee did not vote to move it on to council. They had a lot of questions, and the applicant's representative is here tonight and may want to speak on some of those issues.
Motion to send it on.
Did we want to hear from the,
The applicant, yes.
Yeah, I was just giving the motion first.
Well, no, before this body said that we didn't want to send it on. Remember, it was because we were waiting on information from TDOT about that interchange.
yes.
And we were concerned about the traffic from Walnut Crest. And so the action was not to send it on to council. In this case, the applicant is asking to speak, in which case, I mean, I think you can allow him to speak and then decide whether or not you at this time want to move it forward to council. Ms. Hamacali, am I wrong?
I thought we needed a motion before we did, but that's fine with me. I don't care. Yeah, we wouldn't suspend the rules. I mean, it doesn't matter.
Bend the rules and allow the applicant to speak.
Vote
And they're the one that
suspended.
requested to be on the agenda for this evening.
Yeah, I say suspend the rule, allow the,
Fine.
you know,
We need to take a vote
Absolutely.
on that.
Yes.
Voting to suspend the rules. All in favor? All opposed?
Zach with Greenlit Design, representative for the project here. I think there was a lot of concern about the traffic last month with this, and I've printed out a couple of comparisons if y'all want to take a look at between the commercial zone and the residential zone that we are. I believe you can see what is highlighted there, that the top table there shows a typical commercial development and what the daily traffic would be. You can see it's just north of 3,000 there. And then what we are requesting MRO to townhomes, you can see that it is 931. So this development would actually reduce the daily traffic. And then as far as an actual traffic study, we have one in place right now, but it will not be completed until the end of August.
It's 166 units, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
I think one of the major concerns that some of the councilmen had was this development coming through, letting traffic go through a neighborhood.
As far as getting to Gallatin, going through Walnut Crest.
Right.
So I had reached out with engineering, and they are not requiring a traffic study at the intersection of Walnut Crest and Red River.
If you will, Danny Hill, 761 Plantation Boulevard, here for Ascend Holdings, the owner of the property. On the traffic, there's a connection on Laura Street, which is back on in off of Walnut Crest. We purchased another home along with this at 113 Walnut Crest, which is only the fourth unit in from Long Hollow, and we're going to tear that down and make that an entrance into the project. So we'll have two areas to come and go from there. So hopefully that'll distribute the traffic. But we did buy that other home, so more traffic won't be going through the subdivision itself. Yeah.
That was my concern.
Yeah. Yes, sir. And the other thing I'd like to say too is, under our current zoning, which commercial services, we can, by entitlement, we can go ahead and build these units just like we're presenting them. They would just have to be rental units because we are zoned for transient habitation. We're wanting to do for sale units, so we need to do a change of zoning. That's really all it's about.
All right, I'd love to know the history on this land. Y'all may or may not know it, but I'm sure that commercial zoning existed from before the highway came through there, right?
Sure it did, yeah. It's been there for a while.
And so, anyway, I raised that because I wonder if there's not some remedy, because obviously, you know, they had to pay the property owner at that time for that taking of access. It seems like there should be some remedy where we can then adjust zoning so that we don't have a commercial zone standing alone in the middle of a neighborhood. It makes no sense. And so, I mean, I get what you're saying about your entitlement, but, I mean, it shouldn't have gotten, I mean, we shouldn't be in this situation with that
Probably
zoning.
should have been rezoned at the time of the taking, but I don't know if the property owner requested that time or not.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's
that-
grown up, you know, we've cleared out a lot of it, but, you know, it looks like the growth has been going on for 30 or 40 years back there, just kind of unabated, so it was in pretty rough shape. But the land is beautiful, it's gonna be a nice access, and we're gonna provide workforce housing, which is much needed here. So,
I think you all probably heard in our discussion, another thing that we're waiting on is TDOT's solution for how to create some limited access to 109.
right. We-
And
At our earliest, we wouldn't start developing this for another year, so we're gonna have time to wait on that. Our product is gonna be the same, whether it's for rent or for sale. So what TDOT decides to do or doesn't decide to do, and again, this is not an official TDOT project, it's just something somebody mentioned at TDOT, if they would take a look at maybe looking at the access up there. So there's no TDOT number, there's no official project with them. We don't know if they will issue an official project. It's just, I think, a hope from some people that there will be a project announced. If they do, we're gonna work with them. We're not gonna go out there and, if they come to us and say, you know, it's imminent, we're gonna do something with the property, we're not gonna go start building on it. But it'll be about a year before we would start anything anyway, so I think we'll have plenty of time to work that out. And as far as the metrics of it, it's really the same, whether it's residential or commercial.
And really much needed.
Any more discussion on it?
Motion to send it on.
Second. Vote. All opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Good on. Next on the agenda is number 4, it's ordinance 0210850.
Let's see. Let's advance through here a little bit to the next item is a request for an amendment to the preliminary master development plan for Villas on the Green. As y'all may know, this project is under construction. It's located on the south side of Nashville Pike, just north of Fairview Plantation, across the road from Kennesaw Farms. What the applicant wants to do is modify their plat for, cannot be heard, okay. Modify their plat, so they want to add 4 more units into their development there. They have 68 approved now. They want to increase that to 72, and that it requires essentially a small amendment that most folks are not really going to notice. And they would each have 2 parking spaces. The architecture will remain the same as what they're building out there now. And they built close to half of it maybe at this point. And there's some pictures of what those buildings look like if you're not familiar with them. The Planning Commission reviewed this request and recommended it as a major amendment. That's the reason you're seeing it. And the main reason for that is because it was an increase, and that's the basis, elevating it to a major amendment. So they did recommend approval, although they requested it be considered a major amendment.
Motion to send it on.
Second.
First by Ms. Love, a second by Mr. Hayes. All in favor? Opposed? Motion moving on. Number 5, 2022 Blue Cross Healthy Place at Clearview Park Grant Application. Mr. Brown.
Popcorn section. Miss Mary and Miss Suzanne's going to present this.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. While we're setting up our. Are you ready for While we're setting up our photos, I'm going to pass. Sorry. I'm going to pass around the survey that we did so that you can look at the results.
Okay, as we take an adventure on the grants bus, we found that the City of Gallatin was a great fit for this Blue Cross Blue Shield Foundation Healthy Place Grant. What we found as a result of the winners from last year, which was 2020, which was a bit subdued as the amount of money and the amount of opportunities that Blue Cross Blue Shield Foundation had awarded, we found that we had to be more specific in what we went after demographic-wise, what would be a good fit for our community, for the people of Gallatin, and a place where we could build community and make a particular area thrive, where it had been maybe missing that place to thrive. So what we did was we went after a survey. We presented it at the Back to School Bash at Clearview Park. And we found that the people there embraced this idea with open arms. And so we presented it there. We got some feedback, not as much as we wanted, but we got some feedback. So then I set up the survey, and if you'd like to see what we set up, it's out in the lobby. So in front of you, you have the survey that was presented at the Civic Center, and it just ended today. So our next destination for the survey, to get community input, which was, we found, very, very important and lacking in our last year's application, was community input. So the next stop on this survey is at the Shalom Zone next week. So we'll start Wednesday to Wednesday. So tomorrow I'll take it over there. PJ Davis and Bethany Sullivan are going to present it to the folks who frequent the Shalom Zone so that we get their community input as to the amenities that are wanted and desired. But what we found out from this Blue Cross Blue Shield Foundation webinar that Suzanne and I took part in was how we could dream big. We didn't have to go on these little package deals that they had set up. We could say, okay, what does the community really want? Do they want a splash pad? Do they want a community hub center building? Do they want fitness? Do they want a field? Do they want basketball courts? It was really an all-encompassing, like, shoot for the moon, and if you miss, you get the stars kind of thing. There's $7.5 million that the foundation has to spend on such a project. This is a turnkey project. It's fully funded if we win this grant by Blue Cross Blue Shield. It does include a maintenance fund for the project. So that's not day-to-day maintenance, but say we get a building and it needs a new HVAC unit. Say something happens and lightning strikes and we need a new HVAC, it would cover something like that. Plus, there is warranty with the playground equipment company, Game Time and Playcore, who are going to be the planners and installers for this playground portion of the Blue Cross Blue Shield Healthy Place. Susie?
Know how much more information you need on that, other than we started out with this grant application thinking that we were picking from pre-designed packages, and when we attended the webinar and they said this was a dream big year for them, that they had this funding available, there could be 7 smaller projects that they choose, there could be 1 to 2 bigger projects that they choose, and so their goal is to create a community gathering place, a destination. So we began to dream big and ask these questions, and what you see in front of you are the results of that. And as we put this application together, that will be due at the end of August, what we landed on in communication with Mr. Brown and Mary and I and Mr. Alexander was, and the results really of what the community was looking for, was that the number one thing that they were looking for was the playground, and number two was the splash pad or some kind of water facility over there, basketball courts, and an indoor recreation facility. So we did ask the question, would they be willing to redo our recreation facility, and they said that was included. So we're in constant communication with that funder to see what they will support and what they won't. But that's
And the 7.5 that Ms. Garkey mentioned, is that their total funding for all the grants that they're going to award in the state, or is that per
is
award?
for this program that they would award statewide, it is around
Typically do like
7.5
3
million.
or 5, don't they? 5
So from the city of Memphis is what they use as an example. They did a $5.5 million project over there. And so last year was their 75th anniversary, so they did $750,000 for each project, and they did 10 projects across the state.
Okay.
And that was the only experience that we had with them. So we went on, before all of the information came out, we went on about $1 million project. But when we heard their presentation last week, there's no average.
I
is what
think,
they're
and this
saying.
will either be our third or fourth time to apply. We actually applied prior to your presence here. And you all may not know, but this is Suzanne Gearholt, who's the grants administrator for the city of Gallatin, who so far has a great track record, and Mary Garkey is our marketing director for Parks and Recreation. So, thank you, ladies. Do you all have any questions for them?
No, I'm really excited about it, and it's much needed in that community, real bad. It's been needed for quite some time, so I feel real good about the grant, and I hope we get to land it. So whatever we can get would be wonderful, and I appreciate all the things you guys do, the work.
And just to think, it started out with a little box that you brought to the meeting. It's amazing. Yes.
Well, and one thing I really wanted to quick touch on is the things that we are going to ask for in this grant: playground, a community hall, basketball courts, and a splash pad. So those are things that we found in the community that were really desired, and so those are the items that we're going to go after. And it's exciting because it's money that we don't have to dig in our pockets to fund an amazing project. That those economically speaking, James Fenton will like this one. The goal for the Blue Cross Blue Shield Foundation is to every 10 miles, they were saying, they want to have a healthy place. So when you're driving across the state from west to east or east to west, you can hit one of these healthy places. So that's that. So we hope to be a winner.
Ms. Garkey, touch on where people can participate in the survey, because I think the more input we have and the more numbers that we have to support the direction we're going, the more meaningful it'll be.
Well, I'm going to be posting it on Parks and Rec page, the layouts, but those are just examples. But the actual survey itself, there'll be a QR code that you can pull up on your screen. And if you have a smartphone, hover over it, and there'll be a link to that. And then it'll be at the Shalom Zone for a week from this Wednesday to the next Wednesday.
You can post it on the city's page and all that too, so.
There you go. Thank you.
I like that you're getting community out and input.
We already have a lot of signatures to us, a lot. So, thank you so much.
Moving on to agenda number 6, ordinance 0210849. Mr. Kellogg.
Thank you, Councilman Fan. This is an ordinance awarding bid and appropriating funding in the amount of $2,600,000 from Water and Sewer Reserves for a contract 321, which is the replacement of the 2 water storage tanks on Parcel Pike, back behind Tulip Circle. They're the last 2 steel tanks in our system. One tank was constructed in 1959 and is still in use, and the other tank was constructed in 1975. Both have reached the end of their useful life. We're required to do a 5-year inspection of the tanks. Our inspection earlier this year revealed some corrosion and engineer recommended repainting and repairing the tanks. That was going to be a cost of about $630,000. Our thought is we need to replace the tanks with a concrete tank that'll have a much longer lifespan, lower maintenance cost, serve the community for a long time.
Open for anybody want to discuss it?
I think
Something
it's
we needed.
great and exciting.
Motion to send it on.
Second.
Mr. Alexander made the motion, Ms. Love made the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is number 7, Resolution R210855, Mr. Tuttle.
Thank you, Mr. Fan. So because of the great work that Ms. Gearholt and the team are doing, we continue to have grants that go through TDOT. TDOT requires that we adopt a policy to select consultants to do work, to spend federal and state dollars. And so you have to go through a policy that is qualifications-based and not money-based or price-based. And so we adopted this policy many years ago. They've made changes to it, and we're looking to just re-adopt the new policy.
Motion to send it on.
Second.
Hayes made the motion, Ms. Hayes, Ms. Love made the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Next one's yours too.
This one goes along with the one you just passed. Because of the adoption of the policy, you're required to appoint a consultant evaluation committee. The previous committee consisted of myself, our Special Projects Director, Rosemary Bates, our City Planner, Bill McCord, and our Public Works Director, Zach Wilkinson. Obviously, Zach Wilkinson is no longer in that position, and so we were suggesting that we update the Consultant Evaluation Committee to include Richard DePriest instead of Zach Wilkinson.
Motion to send it on.
Second.
Have a motion by Ms. George and a second by Mr. Alexander. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Number 9, Resolution R2108-57, Ms. Brown. Sorry about that, Mr. Fenton and Ms. Brown.
It's actually both of us, and actually, it's in his role as the Rotary President. But this is something that we discussed some time ago, and now the Rotary Club is ready for an agreement if this council is comfortable with it. And I'd ask Mr. Fenton to chime in and whatever you would like to.
James Fenton here in a different role as this year's president of the Rotary. We have worked with Mr. Brown to work out an equitable operational approach to Rotary Park. As you know, the Morning Rotary Club had originally taken this under their wing and done some improvements down there. They've disbanded, and some of their members have moved into ours, and they're also moving some funds into our club. And we're just asking that that the City Council approve this memorandum of understanding. Mr. Brown's input, and your discussion already, he has taken over maintenance for this. I think the club itself will be there to do extra work, should there be flood, that kind of stuff, come in and do that. And should there be improvements, those improvements will be presented to Mr. Brown for his approval, and he will take care of moving that forward to the Corps of Engineer, with the understanding that the maintenance all comes with that. And so we're just asking that we be able to maintain our name on the park and do our part to maintain it.
Motion to approve.
Second. Have a motion by Mr. Alexander, Mr. Fan second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Resolution number 10, R2108-58, Mayor Brown.
Yes, this is an ask to appoint a new member to the Gallatin Construction Board of Adjustment and Appeals. And the name that has been suggested to me as someone good for this is Mr. Sam Kirby of Kirby Electric. He has experience, he's been a Sumner County resident since 68. He has worked in residential, commercial, and industrial electrical fields since 78. He's had the apprenticeship through the Associated Builders and Contractors Program. He owns and operates his electrical business as mentioned, and would be interested in serving.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion by Ms. Alexander and a second by Ms. Love. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes. Resolution number 11, resolution number R210859, Ms. Flood.
Good evening. Tonight, we're here to discuss the renewal of our medical, vision, and dental. And so I wanted to give a little bit of a background first. I want to talk about a few bullet points. The city's claims have increased by about 20.59% over the last 12 months. The city currently has some significant conditions involving 5 members with claims over $100,000 each. Blue Cross Blue Shield is expecting these claims to continue to rise over the next 12 months. These 5 members accounted for $1.182 million and 27.3% of the claims. Medical trend rose from 9.8% to 12.1%, and that's the rising cost of health care. And I think you guys need to know that background. Our original medical renewal was 16.92% with Blue Cross Blue Shield. We revised the renewal with Blue Cross and was negotiated down to 11.88%, and that's for a 12-month contract. Then bid it out, and then Michael's gonna help me talk about the 12-month and the 15-month that we're looking at.
Good evening. My name is Michael Wertenberger with Premier Benefits Group. Kelly Coley is also here. She's the co-agent on the employee benefits. As Ms. Flood said, we did bid out the health insurance this year, had quotes from Blue Cross Blue Shield, United Healthcare, Humana, Aetna declined to quote, and Cigna missed the deadline. Overall, Blue Cross Blue Shield had the best mix of benefits. After reviewing everything, they did hold firm. We asked them to answer the RFP. They did hold firm at their 11.88% increase for 12 months. The one thing that they did do, which is something we're starting to see a little bit more of, is they offered what they call a premium holiday for the medical premiums for the month of October. Now, what is a premium holiday? Basically, a premium holiday is the city and the employees would not have to pay for medical for the month of October. Okay, now just to kind of give you an idea, on a 12-month contract, that would be a savings to the city of about $352,000, overall about $425,000 that the city simply would not have to pay to Blue Cross Blue Shield. There would still be premiums for the dental and the vision. So they've got 11.88% increase minus that premium holiday for the month of October. So again, the city nor the employees would have to pay any medical premiums for October. Blue Cross Blue Shield Dental, they've actually reduced it by 8%. As long as you renew the medical and the dental, they'll reduce it by 8%, plus give us a 24-month rate guarantee, which is nice. That savings alone to the city is about $7,400 a year. So that was a nice reduction just in the dental piece. On the Blue Cross Blue Shield, the vision was simply a rate hold. They didn't change the rates, they didn't increase it, they didn't decrease it at all. And one thing I want you to understand is these numbers here are for the current benefits that the employees have. So we're not changing the benefits at all. It's for the current benefits that the employees have. Now, overall, when we factor in that premium holiday, this increase to the city of Gallatin for the next 12 months would be $98,743. So that's what we're looking at annually. When that 16.92% increase came out, we were looking at almost $640,000 increase to the city of Gallatin. So we're pretty excited to get it down to under $100,000 there. We did run a 15-month scenario also. Most of the time when we do the health insurance renewals, it's for a 12-month period of time. But we also get questions from employees that say, well, are my deductibles and my out-of-pockets starting over again in October, since that's when the health insurance renews? And as you may or may not know, typically deductibles and out-of-pockets are on a calendar year basis, as is the city's HRA. So those renew or refresh, shall we say, January and go through December. It does tend to be a little confusing that the rates adjust in October. So we ran that scenario. Also, Ms. Flood has a couple other open enrollments that they do for January, and just trying to streamline some things. But obviously, there was a cost to the 15-month contract as well. And this may or may not be the best time to do it, but we did want to put that out there. In asking Blue Cross Blue Shield about a 15-month contract, they basically charged 3% for that. So instead of an 11.88% increase, it was 14.88%, or $343,000, $43,572 for the 15-month period. So we're comparing kind of an apples to orange there with a 12 versus a 15-month contract. If you elected to do that, obviously the city's rates would not change until January 1 of 2023. Obviously, the employees would not see a change in their rates for those 15 months either, so.
So the employees' rates would stay the same for 15 months?
Once they're adjusted October 1st of this year, then if we did a 15-month contract, they would stay the same for 15 months. So you got a 12-month option that would be October of this year through September of next year, or we could do a 15-month option and line that up on January 1st. So it'd be renew in October, and then basically come a 12-month cycle plus 3 more months. So you're looking at January of 2023. So as far as premiums and so forth, they are going to be a little bit higher for the employees if we did the 15-month contract versus the 12. Obviously, the number that I shared with you, the $343,000, would be the increase for the city too for that period of time.
Is that, yes.
I say we stick with the 12. What y'all think?
Is that your recommendation, Ms. Flood? Is that your recommendation?
Look at all the pieces coming together, that's why I asked Michael to do the 12-month. It would streamline the processes, it would give the employees the opportunity to see all of them at once, and we would move forward with that January 1 date, which is what most employers do. So it's about moving us forward, really.
I think it's at a very high cost to the employees and to the city. And I think that if we could find a point in the future where we don't have these astronomical claims like we've had in this past year, that we look at doing it.
We've had, in the past, we've had some rate holds from Blue Cross Blue Shield through the history that the city's been with them. And, that may be the better option, is if we get a rate hold in the future, to maybe at that point in time ask them, hey, would you be willing to do the 15-month contract? And who knows, and this is a hypothetical, obviously. They may say, okay, 0 for a 12-month and 3% for a 15-month contract. That may be the better time to do it, but we did want to start talking about this because it is something that we've discussed and trying to get things lined up a little bit better than what they have been in the past.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me for them to be at that 11.88 for 12 months or increase it to almost 15% for 15 months. I mean, that's like, I could understand if it were, half of that, 11, even 16 or 17, but not, I mean, that's like 30-something%.
Well, and that was a concern that we had too when we looked at it, was just, it did look,
yeah, if you talk about
not advantageous.
12 months to the 15 months, those last 3 months are going up like 30-something%. That makes no sense, so.
I think we'll continue to look at it each year. Maybe as the claims improve, we can move it forward, but at some point, we'd really like to do that to bring all the pieces together.
Yeah, I think it would make it easier for everybody, but I don't think that this is the year that we can do. I mean, I just think, I don't think it's the year it's prudent to do that.
Understandable.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. I'm not trying to.
We understand it's taxpayers' money and.
And I don't think you all have to make a determination tonight. I think you've got the information, but I think you should move it on to council and be prepared to vote on it next week.
Motion to send it on.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Hayes and a second by Mr. Alexander. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It passes.
Thank you.
Item number 12, discussion of dumpster placement in City Hall parking lot for Bradley's Alley Trash. Mr. Dupree.
Thank you, Mr. Fan. Richard DeBreest, Public Works Superintendent. Y'all remember last week, we briefly discussed the trash issue for all the businesses that back up to Bradley's Alley. Y'all asked to put it back on the work session. I've done some more. I've got some help from Ms. Amicali, Mr. McCord, and Mr. Tuttle on what it's going to take if y'all do decide to do this. We will have to build a enclosure within the City Hall parking lot. That would have to be bricked. It would take up more than 4 parking spaces like we had originally planned on. And there would be a cost associated with that. But somehow we would have to pass that cost on to the businesses that would be using the dumpsters.
And I need to add, for the record, as was briefly discussed last week, that there could be a public purpose doctrine issue here because it will be on city property and we'll be benefiting certain business owners over others. Under the public purpose doctrine, we are not allowed to do that. So the businesses will be paying for the trash removal, but it would be just like a parking spot, is the only way I know to describe it. Anyone in the city can park in a parking spot, and even though they're going to be paying for the trash removal, which I know they are not going to appreciate this or like this at all, but anyone from the city could use those dumpsters if they wanted to. We could not stop them due to the public purpose doctrine.
You're also going to have to pay the cost of the enclosure, which I think is going to be pricey.
Are they willing to do this?
I have not been involved in those conversations.
You haven't given them all the information.
I don't,
I mean,
I could see being split. I think the restaurants would be more apt to do it. I think all the other smaller businesses would say, well, why should I be paying for that? I'll take my trash wherever. I don't think it'll go over well because I mean, the enclosure itself, I mean, just a rough guess, I'm thinking at least $15,000.
I'm okay with moving forward with it. I mean, is that what y'all need, is just telling you to go ahead and y'all talk to them and see?
I don't see we have any other option.
I don't either, so, yeah.
Shy of just having the businesses handle it. I mean, there's.
So y'all just keep us posted on it.
Okay. I will continue
Got a motion to
discussion
move
with them, let you know.
No, it's just a discussion.
Thank you.
Next is other business. Do we have any other business? Department head reports.
I do want to bring something
I
up.
think we have several things that need to come up.
Councilman Alexander, I think, had something he wanted to say. So go
Yeah, I
ahead.
just had one very special announcement. I want to tell my wife happy birthday. Today is my wife's birthday. Points for that.
We won't let you tell her age.
What a nice husband.
Okay. I just want to do a very brief update for you. You had requested that we work on a short-term rental ordinance, and that has gone to Planning Commission. They've been working on it, but I wanted to alert you to the fact, and it was discussed at the Planning Commission meeting last night, that the Chancery Court here in Sumner County in our district has, in our judicial district, had a case before for Hendersonville, as y'all kept saying, well, Hendersonville has this ordinance, I don't know why we can't do it, and their ordinance has been declared unconstitutional. So I just am gonna leave you with that, and let you know Planning Commission is working on some type of ordinance to move forward to recommend to this body, but I wanted to let you know that obviously I could not recommend that we ban short-term rentals when it's already been deemed unconstitutional.
Hendersonville had banned those in residential areas. I think, isn't that the part that was unconstitutional?
Well, here's what the court basically determined, that it's an unconstitutional infringement upon a property owner's fundamental right to own, lease, and dispose of his property in a lawful manner because it destroys the homeowner's right to lease property on a short-term basis. So it didn't really, they did ban them in residential, which was what was before the court. But it's been deemed unconstitutional.
Do you know how much the fine was if they disobey that order?
Well, that's a ruling of the court.
City sets the fine.
They're just saying that ordinance they can't have that ordinance because it's unconstitutional. For the city to have the ordinance, not for the homeowners, but for the city to have the ordinance to ban short-term rentals, that is unconstitutional and cannot stand.
Any other business?
I have a couple of things, but I think Mr. McCord and Chief Beaman both have something too.
Okay, council, just want to remind you on August the 24th at 4 o'clock, that's before the next council committee meeting, there will be a special discussion of the draft comp plan. You know, we had the introduction of that a couple of weeks ago, and now this is the opportunity that we have to ask questions. We'll have the planning commission here with you as well, and GNRC representatives will be able to discuss the details of the plan. The important thing that we need you to do between now and then is to read the plan, the draft that's made available. So that is available at plangallatin.org, or if you want to read it electronically, or if you want to get a paper copy, we can make arrangements to do that for you. And if you want to come by our office and pick that up, that'd be fine. So keep that in mind. That will be a 4 o'clock start.
Right here?
I believe in this room, yes, ma'am.
Yes, it is.
24th.
August 24th at 4.
4 o'clock. Thank you.
Council, thank you. Good evening. Next week, the fire department, we have an opportunity to conduct live fire training with an acquired structure on Nashville Pike. And we'll do this over 3 days, August 16th, 17th, and 18th. And I'd like to invite the council members out at your convenience to come by and see what your fire department does. We're going to conduct several burns each day, controlled burns. That kind of sounds like a little questionable result for the fire department. But we're going to conduct several burns with our instructors. Some of this with the goal with our newer employees to let them learn and watch about how fire develops in an uncontrolled environment, but while still maintaining a level of safety with experienced and seasoned crews to intervene if necessary. We've minimized the risks. We are conducting a planning session now. We are putting out a blast on social media about this. We're going to have message boards out on Nashville Pike to help with traffic, because sometimes depending on which way the wind's blowing, when the smoke is working its way from the structure, people want to stop and see why the big red trucks are sitting on the side of the road. But please stop by and come by and say hi at your convenience. Our staff will be there to answer any questions. And if you want to, we could probably find a set of turnout gear for you and get you inside as close as you're comfortable and let you have that experience as well. So I just want to throw that out there. If any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
Mr. Alexander wants to be outfitted.
What's the date?
It's August 16th, 17th, and 18th. It'll be a 3-day period. And then at the end, the final day, we're going to burn the structure to the ground. It's a house. It's located at 1741 Nashville Pike.
Remember, you're not employees of the city, so if you get injured, you're not covered under our workers' comp.
And
What time?
And I would ask this council too to help spread the word that this is happening, because like Chief Beaman said, we don't want everybody calling 911 because they see a fire or, scaring people on social media. So we will put it out there as the city, and then the fire department will, and you're going to make other efforts to communicate.
Yes, ma'am, we will. And Ms. George, starting about 9 a.m. to about 5 p.m. each day. And we'll have plenty of water and Gatorade for you too. It's August.
Yeah, really. Where's 1741 Nashville Pike? Where is,
It's just inside the west city limits of the city on the south side of the road. And beyond that, does Mr. Green's property sound familiar?
yes.
I'm gonna have to get Ben up here to help me out if you want more directions.
Right there on Nashville Pike, coming into
Yeah,
Gallatin.
you won't be able to miss it with the fire trucks there and all the personnel. It'll be pretty easy to find.
Look for the big red trucks.
Big red truck, yeah.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
I have one thing. I do have another commercial that's being shot here, wants to be shot here. This actually is scheduled to happen tomorrow with this body's permission. They want to work from 7 a.m. until 7 p.m. on North Water between Main and Franklin Street. It's a commercial filming for a company called Crunch Fitness. They are going to be doing intermittent street closures with the assistance of off-duty police department, hopefully keeping it to a minimum. They do compensate the businesses on that stretch of road, and they do have signatures from the Go Vans and Swaney's, which I think is what they're shooting in front of. They're going to be parking some vehicles in front of the police department, some in the city hall parking lot, and then some, just a couple actually on the square that they've asked us to block off. We have reached out and made the courts aware. We think it will be a minimal interruption or inconvenience, and so if you all are okay with that, they would appreciate the approval. This is the same film company out of Los Angeles that did the Amazon commercial here a couple weeks ago.
Motion to send it on or approve.
They're not going to block in the fire department in any way, are they?
No, and the street closures are only going to be intermittently, and they'll be controlled by off duty for the city of Gallatin, but on duty for this shoot, police officers. In other words, not people we're paying to be on duty.
Have a motion by Mr. Hayes and a second by Mr. Alexander. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Also do want to make you aware, and the reason, I mean, we're having a lot of stuff filmed in our city here lately. We do have a music video happening at the fire department. I have seen the treatment for the video, and it looks like probably one of my favorite videos that will have been shot in Gallatin. It's for an artist named Mickey Guyton, and she's a country artist. She's phenomenal. I think I'm pronouncing her last name correctly. She was a real big deal, I think, after one of the award shows last year, and has a really skyrocketing career. And so she's going to be shooting that entirely at the fire department. But I wanted this body to know that when these people come to our city and they ask us about shooting here, you know, I'm at, even if it doesn't involve any approval by us, I'm always saying, I want to see your script, I want to see your treatment, I want to know what the topic is, because I don't want any repeats of something that happened a long time ago in the city, before my time, long before my time. So I just want y'all to know that I'm doing that, and I'll continue to keep you aware, and of course bring approvals when I feel that they're needed. But I don't know what the action was when that happened years ago, or what was actually requested. And of course, things have changed so much as we've migrated into
I think it was David Brown, I don't know.
more of a digital media.
He was responsible for that.
You inform the new fire chief he gets to sing in those videos?
That's all I have, you all.
Doug Stewart, building official. Council, in your packet was our end-of-year fiscal year 2020, 2021. If you'd like to take a look at that, want to discuss anything with me, give me a call. I'm available all the time. We can go over it, and I can tell you what you need to know about it. Thank you.
Any other business? Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?